Hi, my name is Jake Mullen, and this is my pre-screening task for the position opening up at Guilderland High School for the Social Studies Department. Thank you for your time. When it comes to historical revisionism, I think this concept has allowed more than one kind of way of thinking about a certain event to kind of come out and be discussed in the classroom openly. I think old school way of thinking with certain historical events, especially in Global 10, is that this event happened, it took place, this was the impact, this is what was done, this is why it was done, and depending on whose side you fall on, this was a very good thing. And I think historical revisionism gives an opportunity to explore more of the gray with some of the events in history that have taken place. For the teacher, they have to be prepared, they have to be well-versed in kind of the multiple perspectives that an event can lead to different perspectives, and they have to be understanding and hear both sides of an argument as to why something might have been a good or bad. So teachers have to be, trying to present things down kind of more of a middle or a neutral path, and then let kind of, for the students in that case, give them the opportunity to hear both sides about what took place with an event, and then consider that for their own opinions and come to their own conclusion, discuss it with their peers. And I think that kind of environment where things are presented a little more gray than black and white allows students to feel more free to critically think, and makes them more well-rounded students, better citizens, and will help them on as they go beyond high school and into adulthood. I think a classic example of this in Global 10 specifically would be the bombings at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I think growing up, in my personal experience in social studies classes where I went to school, it was traditionally more of this was a really good thing. And the United States helped end World War II in a quick way, and that was kind of the argument that was presented. It saved soldiers' lives from an invasion of Japan. And I think with historical revisionism, you're getting more of that, well, was it 100% necessary? Was this more of a flex on the to impress the Soviet Union with the looming Cold War coming up? Was it 100% necessary? And so presenting that kind of idea and argument in class gives students more than one perspective. They don't necessarily take it as 100% good or 100% bad. There's reasons for doing things, and it gives them an opportunity to explore those reasonings, find find the explanation that works best for them, and while also considering how somebody else might feel differently than you, and that's okay. As long as you're discussing it in a civilized manner, you can at least acknowledge that you have an opinion, but there's other opinions out there, and you could feel the way that you do, and that's great. But at least have an understanding that somebody might think differently than you, and you're prepared for that. So that's what I found. When it comes to the question of content versus skill, it's tough. Global 10, so important with the Regents exam, particularly with the enduring issues, concepts, and being able to look through primary sources and analyzing for bias and perspective and point of view. It's really hard to necessarily pick one or the other because it helps with historical context and students having that content to understanding a document better. If I were to pick one, I would say give the slight edge to skill. I just think it's really important where if a student looks through a primary source and they can analyze it and use context clues to kind of pick up what's happening, they can kind of take away, all right, this was the overwhelming issue, the enduring issue of this document. Obviously, content would go a long ways into helping them explain how they got to that point of that document. But if they have the skills necessary through practice in class, through practice and procedure, then they'll be able to analyze a document, take away what is the big issue, where is the potential bias here, coming from a source, what is the date on this, and so they can use that context, use those clues, and it'll make them better learners. Of course, content's really important. You have to be prepared. You have to help students understand how we got to certain points in history and give them the tools necessary. So those things, they really do go hand in hand, and one can't necessarily exist without the other, and that's why it's so important to emphasize both in the social studies classroom. My last question from you guys: describe an inclusive social studies plan and instruction, how it would look like, or an inclusive social studies plan. So I think in this regard, with co-teach, I think it's great. I think it's a good opportunity when teachers can collaborate and come together with multiple perspectives on how to present information, how to lead a lesson. I think all that process and going and prepping lesson plans should be very inclusive, not afraid to share their opinions and kind of try things that are differently that you might not have considered if you were just working in a solo environment. So when you get to that classroom, you kind of work off of each other's vibe and energy, work together to present that information, and you prep. You're just friendly, and you're not dismissive of anything. I don't think you have to be open-minded. And to an observer, they would see that really good, positive working relationship, and it would look like a good partnership in the classroom for the students' benefits. So I'm a big proponent of co-teach. I appreciate your time for the pre-screening task, and I look forward to hearing from you guys in the future. Take care.